Hey guys. Hello. Good morning. It's Friday. Hey Grandma, Queen Bella, Villainous Cupcake. What's up, guys? Hey Okie. Hey Forever Army. Hey Gladys. I'm so glad to see y'all this morning. Oh, I'm so tired. Good morning, Brittany. I don't know what the name is called. Beautiful Swimmers. It's in the YouTube. Uh, you could probably Google it. Beautiful Swimmers. Kind of reminds me of sperm when I say that though, because swimmers. Ew. It's a cute song though. Good morning, Deetsy. Again. Hey, Rockabit. Hey, yep. Tell me it don't. All right. Y'all know. Beautiful Swimmers. Does that remind you of sperm, babe? Swimmers? The word swimmers? Don't it? Tell me it don't. Huh? It does? Well, that makes me want to change my song now because that's the opening song. It says beautiful swimmers. Hey Taylor. Hey Miss Liverbud. Oh, interesting. How are blueberry glazed donuts good? They're so dry looking.
Have you tried one?
No, I don't want one. Good morning, Tess.
If you're gonna be lame, that's all there is to it.
Your mom's lame.
You just have to be lame. That's all.
Your mom's lame.
Probably.
Oh, Kirsten Dunst. Ain't no shame in my game. I'm gonna have to change the song now, or maybe I'll leave it. I don't know. Hell, I wanted to go over. I wanted to show you guys Gary Moody, who has been covering the two missing Kansas moms. Well, they're not missing now, but they were missing. Um, the whole talk around the God's Misfits and how it was kind of cult like. Well, Carrie Moody dug into, because I mean, it's like who is Paul Grice, right? Like, who is this person? He's mentioned in the affidavit as being a part of the situation, but he's not arrested yet. Who is he? Well, she did a deep dive and I don't know. She did a deep dive. I found where the documents are, but I'm not paying $30 for uh 50 pages. The page is there's actually 44 pages, but on the website it's like I think it's like $15 for 10 pages or something like that. And then $30 for up to 50 pages. I ain't doing that. No, hell no. Mm-mm. Hell to the no, no, no. So we're going to support another creator. And I'm going to go over Carrie's coverage of it because she already got the documents. Let's see. And I listened to it this morning, and I think the way they explained everything was so good. And mostly factual, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Sassy. Hey, Tim. Hey, Kate the Magnificent. Oh, Carrie. She said, Yo, I'm here. I was not about to pay for it. It's okay. I just, like, if you don't mind, I'll just. I was just going to play y'all's stream, the first half of it where you go over it. Cause, like, I don't know who the lady was you had on panel with you, but you girls, like, y'all killed it. Y'all did so good. I can see you. Hey, Laura. I said hey to you earlier, baby. I love you. Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah, because I would like to also, because I know y'all kind of skimmed through them and pointed out the most obvious things. I would like to actually go through them and just read them myself, but I was not paying. That was expensive, girl, for some papers. Oh, yep, has them too. And I've seen, since we're in the Krama world, let me go ahead and show y'all this too. Hold on. Because here's a little drama surrounding the true crime case. Let's see. I noticed that Rock, she mentioned the other day that she had a problem with somebody that she was down or up, wherever. I don't know. Geography. It's hard for me. Where's Oklahoma to us? Up? Yeah, because we're down over here on the floor.
Everything's up.
Everything's up from us because we're down. We're on the bottom. Okay. And I was like, I know she ain't talking about Carrie. And she was definitely talking about Carrie. Look. And somebody corrected her on this. So Rock said she sent, this is Carrie's thumbnail to the live we're about to go over. And she said, this was sent to me earlier. Interesting to say the least. Always stand with the family. As you know, Wrangler has court order of no contact for 30 days. That has not changed at all. Nobody said that Wrangler was talking. That that is not what this alludes to for me personally. Bless you, baby. Bless you, baby. So I went in, and there's still, there's some support for Rock. And then this person says, I call BS. She really rubs me the wrong way. And I know that's not nice and against the rules to bash another channel, but I call them like I see them. And Rock says, me too. I will tell you all who she really is when the time's right. I do have a lot to say, but now is not the time. Like, girl, Rock, you are not, what are you doing? So then Melissa comes in here. She says, nobody said they talked to him. I just listened to it. They explained all of his charges and a few other things and just said that he has been in rehab and hasn't been able to have a voice. So they wanted to just explain what they knew to be true from the people they had talked to, his friends, so forth and so on. And Rock said, sorry, did you possibly read the title, clickbait, or what? Also, Grandma's comment was erased. And then Miss South Africa said, she erased my comment to the grandmother as well. Definitely clickbait. I don't know what's clickbait about this title. Sorry, Carrie Mooney. I'm sorry. I've heard that there's been, Yep has kind of included me a little bit in on the fact that there's always something going on between Rock and her team or whatever. So I'm sorry. I don't know. That's what it threw me for a loop when I seen it. Hey, Granny Bassmaster. Bassmaster. Good for you, babe. I was like, what? Yeah. Yeah. See, it's just, it's pettiness to bring in. Because, Carrie, you know more, you know just as much as the rest of us. Drama sells on here. Like, that's what it draws people in. So to me, that seemed like a fishing expedition to get, like some people to come in and I know, Granny, I know. She saw the post and slightly freaked. Yeah. It's okay. Is it pettiness or gatekeeping? Could be either. Could be either. But I love, Carrie, you and the lady you had on panel with you last night. So, anyways, let's get to this. I'm going to put the playback. Let's see what it sounds like on 125.
Julian Kelly, in order to prevent the lawful granting of custody and or
I don't want to bite of that. I got to start it. Okay.
Of the situations that are going on with this case. And so I'm going to start off real quick. We do have the motion to not let them out with bail. So let me share that real quick. And again, thank you for being here. Thank you, Tara. Let's see.
Thank you. It's always exciting to be up here with you. It's exciting for the wrong reasons. And thank you everybody for in the chat. While Carrie is getting some things together, let me go through a couple of rules of engagement. We've got several mods in the group. Those are the lovely individuals with the little wrenches next to their names. They're going to be watching the chat for us to help us out and making sure we answer questions along the way. But if there's statements in there, comments in there, things that just do not contribute constructively to the conversation or are just disrespectful in any way, they will be removed. So just keep an eye out for that. If you're not sure about something, you ask first. So
I'm not
Carrie,
sure,
looks like you've got
Stevie.
something on the screen.
All right. So this is the motion that
we just got to remember, like, the family and friends and relatives could be reaching out to the creators because they want a place to talk because they're scared to talk in their own community. So I've been following Carrie for most of the the facts. Rock, I've been watching on and off. Sometimes it gets a little too much for me over there, but this stream was really, really good. And they make it to where you can understand everything.
The DA had filed the other day on the motion to hold all 4 defendants without bond. And I got this afternoon, so I'm just going to go over it with you guys. It does have a little bit more information than what the probable cause statement, not a whole lot, but a little bit. This one is just on Tiffany. I have all 4, but they're all the same. And this is just a motion to hold defendant without bail. Of course, we now know that they were not granted bail yesterday. So she's being charged with first-degree murder, which is a capital offense. And at this time, the relevant aggravating circumstances are...
Y'all make sure, I just dropped Carrie's link in the chat. Make sure you go sub up. She is... hands down, for me, speaking for myself, the go-to for this case.
A continuing threat to society. The evidence shows that the defendant and co-conspirators engaged in a plot to kidnap and murder the deceased, Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, in order to prevent the lawful granting of custody and or unsupervised visitation by the court. The defendant and conspirators attempted said crime previously by both traveling to Hugoton in an attempt to lure Veronica out of her home and additionally planning to organize her death by throwing an anvil through her windshield while she drove down the road.
Now, can we also talk about the fact of how ignorant and immature that thought process is? Yeah, we're just going to throw an anvil off of the truck and I don't understand. This is not the Roadrunner. This is not Tom and Jerry. is that literally what was going through their heads? Is to have this big ass weight dropped on her and make it seem like I don't get it. Sorry. I just don't get it. It's so ignorant.
Both first degree.
Yes, an anvil. Here, I'll look it up. Anvil. Images. Here. This is an anvil. They planned on making it seem like this fell off a truck and into Veronica's windshield or driver's side window, killing her. These are what the cartoons used. Look. Look at this. See? Like, they really thought it was fixing to work like that? I don't know. It blew my mind. Like, excuse me? How does that work? Okay.
Murder and kidnapping are violent offenses under the, and then it gives a state definition.
Granny Bassmaster, she's reading over, kinda, it's like the probable cause affidavit for, the 4 people that were arrested for unaliving Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, the 2 Kansas moms that went missing. It's like the probable cause affidavit. I think she said this is the denial of bond paperwork. So that's what she's reading out right now.
The maximum sentence for murder is death, life, or life without parole. The maximum sentence for kidnapping is up to 20 years. And then it has the proof of guilt is evident. See attached sworn affidavit detailing the relevant facts.
Yeah, the motion to hold. Yeah, what Yep said.
Time. The state would point out that after arrest, this defendant, Tiffany Adams, did provide a recorded statement to law enforcement indicating her responsibility for the death of the deceased. Taking into consideration the rebuttable presumption of statute and is detailed in the attached affidavit, no condition would assure the safety of the community, which includes the witnesses and court personnel involved in this case. The facts are that in order to prevent Veronica Butler from regaining custody and or unsupervised supervision with her children, the defendant and conspirators were willing to commit murder. Said murder was complex and involved extensive preparation. There are statements of the co-conspirators that their problems would be taken care of because in addition to removing Veronica, they knew the path the judge walked to work.
Roseanne, hang tight. That's what they're going to go over in just a minute. That's exactly what we're going to go over. Well, Carrie and Tara, I'm going to say Tara. Carrie and Tara are about to go over that in just a minute, and they're going to explain that they're not exactly sovereign citizens. They consider themselves something else. So we'll go through that.
Now, faced with the consequence of a sentence of death or life in prison, the defendant and conspirators would be willing to do anything since they have shown to be willing to commit capital murder in order to limit Veronica's
It's crazy, D.
And so the court holds the defendant without bail as allowed under the Oklahoma Constitution and George Leach.
Now, what you just heard was the part about the cray-cray granny, Tiffany Adams, and her expressing the responsibility that she had in this. That doesn't necessarily mean she confessed exactly, but it kind of does, in my opinion. Like, I guess it could be different. They're going to explain that too.
Is a district attorney on that. The rest is just the affidavit. And Tara and I went over that the other night. So the rest is all the same. So does the chat have any thoughts on that?
First question was, did she confess? It's the first one I see. So the statement's coming through that Tiffany admitted responsibility. That's what we've seen in reports. Does as you're reading through the affidavit, I don't know that. Was there something, go back in there for a second to see if that was in there that she, so there's a difference. And I don't know if Jill is in the chat tonight. I hope you are. She's an attorney that's joined us several times, and she's been gracious with her expertise. But I've heard the term responsibility used specifically when it comes to, I see you're highlighting something there. Okay, so that after the arrest, this defendant, Tiffany Adams, did provide recorded statement to law enforcement indicating her responsibility for the death of the deceased. And I think that's an important word as I was looking through Oklahoma's definitions, because definitions are important. We've been learning that a lot throughout the information we've been getting. So I don't know that responsibility means confession. I don't know if those are synonymous. It sounds like she can admit to doing something that was she thought.
Okay, now pay attention to this part.
Means confession. I don't know if those are synonymous. It sounds like she can admit to doing something that was she thought was necessary. So I don't know, Carrie, what do you think?
I feel the same way.
So what Tara just said is basically, if they find it, like, she can admit to what she did, and she can say it was necessary, because if Veronica got unsupervised visitation of the children, then that means they could possibly be harmed or sexually assaulted even more. So she could be planning to do that. She could be planning to use that. I didn't know Oklahoma laws are like that, and that, like, you can admit to red room for a purpose, for a cause. I had no idea.
As you, I'm really not sure, and I'm certain that somebody will bring it to our attention, you know, if there's truly a difference between indicating her responsibility and actually confessing to doing it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious as to what responsibility means, because it says here she indicated responsibility in her statement, recorded statement. She indicates responsibility, but then she pled not guilty, or at least there was a not guilty response by the judge, because none of them were represented at the time of the arraignment, if I understand correctly.
See?
That's
so it's
correct.
like that that makes me nervous, because what if they say, what if they say, well, that is kind of true? I mean, well, the sexual assault allegations, they were alleged, right? If I'm not mistaken, they were alleged, because even in the affidavit, it said alleged allegations. So the kids may not have even went through anything like that, but what if they did, and there was some sort of evidence to prove that? Then that means that they would take that into consideration and possibly give her a lighter sentence because she was doing it for a good enough reason. I don't, the justification is accepted. I don't know. That's kind of scary to me. I don't know why Oklahoma has laws like that, but it's kind of creepy.
They did not have attorneys, so the court entered a not guilty,
Right.
I guess, something like that on their behalf until they have the attorneys.
Yes. Right. Now, see, Jillian, but see, in Cray Granny's mind, Jillian did have something to do with it, because Jillian was helping Veronica out. But really, Jillian didn't have anything to do with it. So she could get away with the if there's proof of essay on the children, she could get away a little more with the Veronica part, than the Jillian part.
In a history underfoot says, I think this is where we're kind of going with this is, I wonder if Tiffany admitted responsibility, but doesn't
Yes,
recognize
Laura.
she broke the law since they don't recognize government authority. It's an interesting way to look at it. There is a couple of, I don't want to say there's a couple different ways of looking at murder and homicide and things like that. In Oklahoma, homicide just means taking somebody's life, but you have excusable homicide, you have justifiable homicide. And in this particular case, it would not surprise me if Tiffany understood all that to a point, or had somebody coaching her on that, or somehow she could come by the information. And maybe she did tell the cops, if I did do this, then because I, like my grandchildren this and Veronica that, and I was doing it to be a protector. And so I think there's something to the fact that she's not going to recognize she broke the law because she was doing something in defense of somebody else in her mind.
And I agree. I agree that she could actually be trying to pull that. I agree.
Not that makes it right, but to her, that is probably what she's thinking.
Right. And so that kind of leads into, again, thank you guys for all being here. Mermaid, thank you very much. We appreciate all of the information that you guys send to us. It's been of a huge help. Okay, so let me share this. So the next thing I'm going to lead into.
Hello to everybody coming in. We are going over the information that Carrie and Tara went over pertaining to the sovereign citizenship of the 4 that have been charged with homicide of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, the 2 Kansas moms that went missing. And it all revolves around a custody issue. Grandmama didn't want mom getting unsupervised visits because unsupervised visits, seriously, Veronica was trying to get her kids back. For her to go from supervised visits to unsupervised means she was taking the steps necessary to get those kids back. And Granny didn't want that. Cray Granny did not want that. So Carrie and Tara went over this information. We've heard about the sovereign citizenship and how it was kind of cult-like, right? And it's called God's Misfits. So Carrie and Tara dug into it, and they're going to explain to us that exactly what it is and what they go by. And make sure that you go sub up if you're interested in this case, especially go sub up to Carrie. I just dropped her link in the chat. All facts. There's barely speculation, barely rumors. They stay based on facts for the most part. And they're keeping us really included on what's going on in this case. And this is my go-to. Carrie is my go-to for this case specifically.
Is going to be the fact that Paul, now we don't know how to pronounce his last name because I'm kind of thinking it might be Grice, but that Paul Grice was named in the original affidavits, right? He was named as being with Cora and Cole Twombly at the time. So we're going to kind of go into that God's Misfits, quote unquote, group. And kind of, we're sovereign.
Hello to everybody coming in. Make sure you hit the like button for your girl.
Citizen is being thrown around a lot. And myself even had a misunderstanding of what that was. So hopefully we can kind of clear some of that up for you guys. Let me go bring this other screen up.
And I'm grateful for that because that's what we've been hearing. Sovereign citizenship. Like the other day I was losing my mind. Like, how dare you claim you're a sovereign citizen while you're fucking in knee deep in debt? You know, you got so many loans through the government. I was torqued up about that, but it doesn't really change. This doesn't really change that. It actually is a little worse.
While you're doing that, just asking the question, could that be why the judge was at the house? Christy, I need a little bit, define that for me just a little bit. I see your screen now.
So that person was asking, like, because Tara said, like, did Cray Granny, Tiffany, did she have someone coaching her and know prior about the excusable homicide, the justified homicide. And if she did she have somebody coaching her through that and helping her understand it? And I think that commenter was saying, could the judge have been that person?
Grice, as in ice cube, it looks like. Grice. Grice is correct. I'm presuming that's what you're trying to tell us, CB Slinger. Which, thank you. I'm glad somebody, I like to pronounce names correctly. So
I
that's,
do too. I hate when
it's like,
Grice. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
no, and I try
so
my
thank
best,
you.
but
Grice. Okay. I think we got it.
Right.
Thank you.
Grice. How many notes does it take to go back to know what you're reading?
Exactly. So what you're looking at on the screen here, as you can see, we have Cooks, Claire Cook, who is now married to, oh gosh, help me out. She's married to Twombly.
Is that Frank's? Yes, Frank Twombly. Yeah. So she's now Claire Twombly.
Correct. Yes.
Yes. So Frank Twombly is Cole Twombly's son, and he is married to Chloe Cook. In the Facebook post of Cole Twombly that we read, where he was talking about getting to enjoy a evening outside dancing with his wife and celebrating his new daughter-in-law's birthday, like that's who they're talking about right now. So this is how the people kind of intertwine.
Okay.
So her second sister, or this is mom Lacey. This is Barrett. So, and Chloe. Chloe's the one.
Okay. Lacey and Barrett are the ones that I blocked out of the affidavit in my affidavit reading. But Lacey and Barrett were the ones that Cray Granny said the kids stayed the night with them the night prior to Veronica going missing, right? She said the kids stayed the night with them too, and she was going to go pick them up and take them to meet Veronica, their mother. But then Veronica backed out of the meeting. So supposedly the kids stayed with them the night before. So see, they're all linking up now.
One that's married to Frank. Sorry.
Okay. Yep. Yes.
So these are Lacey and Barrett Cook. Barrett Cook is the one that was the the butcher. He had a street front building and all that good stuff. So that's who those people are.
Okay, so then that's wonderful. Thank God Carrie mentioned that, because we were wondering who the butcher was. Where did the butcher come in? Right? She just clarified that.
Notice the top name is Paul Jeremiah Grice.
There we go.
So that name has been coming up, right? So all these people filed on the same day, on the same exact day. It was June 6th of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what they filed. I'll have to switch my screen over again. And I'm not going to go through every bit of it, but I will scroll through and I'm trying to share the one.
Yeah, I tried to too, Carrie, but when I sent, exactly. Carrie said we left the Cooks out of it as long as possible, but their names were given to me as suspects within days. But since he wasn't named, we didn't allow talk of him. Yes, because I remember y'all saying there were certain people you would not bring up. And it's the ones that the kids supposedly stayed the night with the night prior to the unalivings.
That I found important in that.
I think it goes a lot.
The Elkhart judge was at the house when they were all arrested. Could he have been offering a legal standpoint for some of them? I don't know.
What was that question?
It says Christy Parrish says the Elkhart judge was at the house when they were all arrested. Could he have been offering a legal standpoint for some of them?
Well, I mean, I don't like to accuse anybody of anything, but it would be hard. I kind of feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, kind of, sort of. I'm not sure.
It's possible.
Sure. It would be awful hard to have not known things if he spent that much time at Tad's house.
Right.
Hey, Stonefly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because he said he said he spent time with Tad every day for the last month.
So this judge has nothing to do with this?
And let's keep in mind, Tiffany was planning this unaliving of Veronica for a month and a half.
And are we talking about the same judge then? Maybe I have two different judges.
I think they're talking about the same one we
Okay.
are, the one that was just fired.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just a municipal judge. All right.
Okay.
So this that I'm looking at here is a repudiation and revocation of citizenship.
Okay, so pay attention, because this is where the sovereign citizenship comes up, right? And they're going to explain that it's not actually a sovereign citizenship, it's something else.
This is the document that all of the individuals I just told you earlier, Paul Grice and the Cook family, Barrett and Lacey Cook, along with two of their daughters. One of those daughters is now married to Frank Twombly, who is the son of Cora and Cole, correct? It gets hard. All these names are crazy.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. So I won't be able to see the chat while I go through this.
I'm helping you.
Okay,
I'm
great.
watching it.
So this is affidavit of truth and assertory oath, repudiation, and revocation of citizenship. And this is a whole lot of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this is what the Misfits believe in. So we're showing you what at least two families have filed. Okay, two families that have
Yes,
filed.
Remy.
Let me get down to where. Okay, so this part right here. Now they have an overviewing organization, the American State Nationalists, that if they pay so much, there's like conferences they could go to. I know some of these people have gone to them, but there's like conferences, but they also provide this type of information. So as like how you would file to get this done. So like a template is, basically, and that's what I think has been done here. But it says, let it be known that in no way, shape, or form am I, the living man or woman, a sovereign citizen or person. Nowhere in the codes does it mention a living man or woman. Yet God in his word, the Bible, created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. So he goes on about this: a person, body, or state vested with independent and supreme authority. See sovereign citizen. So basically everything he's saying right here is he's not a sovereign citizen. Okay. Therefore, it is impossible for me to be both a living man or woman and a sovereign citizen person. Furthermore,
Yeah, so this document actually is going against and saying, no, we rebuke the sovereign citizen title.
it's impossible to be a sovereign and a citizen, as they are the opposite of each other in every way. Any presumptions, assumptions to the contrary of who I am is rebutted from the start. And here it ends. Paul Jeremiah of the genealogy of Grice. I am not a sovereign citizen. I am not a resident, employee, or citizen of the United States government, which they call a corporation. My relationship to that federal entity, as far as jurisdiction, is that of a non-resident alien to the corporate United States government. Also known.
Then what the fuck are you doing here? What the fuck are you doing here then? You're not a United States citizen. You actually are. I just, people like this drive me nuts.
Known as an American state national or lawful blood American.
Right,
He
Remy?
goes on to talk more about the powers of earth, God's law. He's a free and a natural man.
Hey, Lori, welcome in.
He claims his children as his God-given property and subject to none other. I waive none of my God-given rights or duties in the upbringing of my offspring. Some of my reasons for repudiating that citizenship status are defined in the bottle articles and by the totality of this document. It says, I've lived a productive and eventful life, now in anticipation of the end and God's mercy and grace. But undoubtedly, the singularly most horrific moment of that life was the conviction to repudiate my citizenship of the United States. Those words, repudiate my citizenship, crushed the very soul within me. I stood beneath that war flag. I served with pride for my entire life, not even knowing the existence of the civil flag of peace until a few years ago. The memories of our brave young men, comrades in arms who defended the Constitution, who never had a life flood before me. They sacrificed all of their tomorrows so that I might have mine. Those memories will always remain with me and be remembered with humble honor and gratitude. Our educational propaganda system is a joke. Our children are taught only what the fraud of government wants known and nothing more. The awful knowledge and horror of betrayal by my...
Okay, I kind of agree with that one, that our educational propaganda system is a joke. Our children are taught only what the fraud of the government wants known and nothing more. I kind of agree with that part. So far, just that part.
My own government, of which I was once so proud, is an unbearable sorrow that I must now carry to my grave, but I shall do so, a free man.
Look what Lorianne said. Buy them a one-way ticket and remove their citizenship. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Holla. Get out of here.
Perhaps the American people are like the frog that is heated slowly to a boil in a pot of water. If we had detected the heat sooner, we could have jumped out, saving both the Republic and ourselves. So very anti. Do you have anything to add on to this, or questions or comments?
I know I'll help draw the line specifically between sovereign citizen and the American state national.
Yes,
to
Carrie.
make it just as clear and quick as possible. A sovereign believes in the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, so they will lean into the amendments and things of that nature. A true sovereign citizen, and then
Yeah, because they love that they have a sovereign citizen. Like, you can tell when you come across a sovereign citizen. Well, if you're watching like police cams and shit, like when they get pulled over, they're like, I don't have to show you anything. I'm a sovereign citizen. I have the right to not show you anything.
an American state national believes they're property of God, so they can roam the land freely. They don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to answer to the laws, the government, anything of that nature. They don't belong to the land. They get to use the land.
Yeah, they don't belong to the land, but they get to use the land. They get to do whatever the fuck they want. They don't get to pay. They don't have to pay taxes, but they also get to get loans from our government. So how can you be both? How can you be this and still getting loans from our government, living on the land of our country? To me, it's kind of like a slap in the face. Like, are you kidding me? And you think that you just get the right to run around and unalive people and handle things the way you see fit? Fuck out of here with that.
And so there is a distinct difference between the two, which is why that it was made very clear in literally black and white on this document. Grice is saying, I am not a sovereign citizen, because if he admits to being a sovereign citizen, that means the Constitution applies to him by his belief system.
Yes.
So that's that between all of that and all. There's so many pages in there, and there's no way we should read all because there's 44.
No, there's no way I'll read all of it.
Basically, this is like a step down from sovereign citizens. Like, you got American citizens, you got sovereign citizens, and then you got these motherfuckers.
He goes on,
who think they owe nothing to no one, but get to run amok in our country, use our land in our country, use our money from our country.
on to basically list
So you give nothing and get everything. Fuck that.
different failures of the U.S. government over the past few years. So there is a lot of political, we'll call it case study he pulls, and then there's a lot of Bible verses that he inserts. So as a sort of the Bible versus the law and how the law is wrong. And so
this was filed July 6th of 2023.
Yeah. Yep.
Whoever was asking.
Yep.
Okay, so let me continue
Hey, truth
here.
seeker.
This
Hey,
part
Papa
is just kind
Cow.
of interesting considering the circumstances he now finds himself, or these other people are. But they have increased our prison population to nearly 2.5 million inmates, the largest imprisonment of its own citizens of any country in the world. They now prepare plans for new prison construction for the new millennium, projecting 20 years in advance and building cells for our as yet unborn children, as though all or most of our offspring will be criminals. This reality alone reduces the expression, the home of the brave and the land of the free, to a mere illusion and an oxymoron. And then he goes on, they have done this not to secure justice, to protect the people, but are imprisoning people without a crime. No victim, no crime.
Interesting. No victim, no crime. Well, what constitutes to you as a victim, my dude? Squeeze me?
Yep.
Then let's see.
This was filed, I think Carrie said July 6th, 2023.
This one completely blatantly obvious and repulsive to sit in a court of fake law and watch good men and women citizens supposed to be under the protection of government sent to prison by these actors when there was no victim and no harm to another living soul.
It's not any different, Lauren.
Why, I ask? Because it's a for-profit system, a way to tax the poor with no regard to destruction of lives of citizens. Why? Bonds. The court collects billions from the people's trust, and judges and prosecutors receive net retentions, effectively commissions. He goes on to talk about child kidnapping and trafficking by Child Protective Service, things like that. The privilege against self-incrimination is neither accorded to the passive resistant nor to the person who is ignorant of his rights, nor to one indifferent thereto. It is a fighting clause. Its benefits can be retained only by sustained combat. It cannot be claimed by attorney or solicitor. It is valid only when insisted upon by a belligerent claimant in person.
Yeah, it's a. I want to. As you're reading that, I saw something I thought was funny. Where did Lisa says filed? How? Where? Is this BS legal? If they don't like it here, they are free to leave.
Yeah. You don't like it here? Get gone.
Bye, Felicia.
I had to read that. It's always fun to break up the seriousness with the humor.
Definitely.
So curious to see if these people are arrested, if they will accept court-appointed attorneys, or will their organization provide legal counsel? So they, as far as I know, they're getting court-appointed attorneys.
Right. Raise your kids right. I mean, sometimes a parent can do everything they can possibly do, and the kids still, they still end up in a lot of trouble. But just do your best. Just do your best. The difference is parents don't do their best now. They're lazy as fuck. Period. And they're not doing right by their children by being lazy.
That's some of the stuff that we can kind of lean into or get into a little bit. Is there's a lot of understanding that these four have access to liquid cash, and through many individuals,
that is scary. Yep.
We keep hearing the same theme. And anybody's welcome to private message me or say in the comments if you want to. The four that have been arrested are cash poor, although land rich type of thing. So I don't know that they can afford everything. I'm not sure how some of the legal stuff with Wrangler's kids and Veronica's kids kept.
Lord J said, I'm so confused. The one guy, Tad Colum, is friends with a judge. How does that not contradict? Lord, the whole thing is contradicting. The whole thing. Yeah, it was filed in Cimarron County. No, I agree. Yep, I grew up the same way.
Going down, but it's a weird kind of. It's interesting. So I don't know how that's going to go down. It'll be very interesting.
Lori said, how can Tiffany be sovereign and elected Republican chair of Cimarron County? And somebody else explained this to me so perfectly earlier. So I'm probably just going to use their words the best of my ability. But Tiffany and Tad have not claimed this. Not that we can find. So the ones we could find were Paul Grice and the Cooks. They are part of the Misfit group, as are Tiffany and Tad.
Okay, so she's explaining they're all part of the God's Misfits group, but on paper, Tad and Tiffany have not claimed this. But I think they claim it, just not on paper.
But Tiffany and Tad, as far as we can find, they have never claimed this sovereignship.
Thank you, Steph.
Or denouncing citizenship is basically more like it. It's not, they're not claiming sovereignty.
Right. Yes. So
if she had have done that, she wouldn't have been able to sit on those boards. Therefore, she wouldn't have had that power that she was able to have by sitting on the hospital board or the school board, things like that. Had she renounced her citizenship, she couldn't have done things like that. Also, they filed this July of 23. This court battle has been ongoing for years. How would it have looked to the court if Tiffany had walked in there and Veronica's attorney pulls out this kind of stuff? I mean, the judge is going to look at her like she's a whack job. So I think those are my thinking. That's the reasons why she has not.
Hallie says, I don't know if you say it Hallie or Haley. I'm going to say Hallie, though. The judge that Tad is friends with is not related to the case at all. He is the city judge in Elkhart, or was more accurately. I agree. I think what they're saying is if you don't believe in government, why are you working and doing deals with government officials?
Claimed this, or filed this on her.
Well, the sovereign citizenship that is being utilized in that part of the country is a little bit different than the actual sovereign citizenship that most people are aware of. It's kind of a, if it benefits me, that's how I'm going to use it. So it's kind of being used in a sort of, let's be fun and call it a misfit sort of way, to however it best suits their needs. And so, oh, hello, sir, says Tiffany was not elected to the hospital board. It is not an elected position. So there we go. Maybe that's the case there with Tiffany. If she can be appointed on the board, not elected to, it's not an elected position. That's a good delineation.
And she would have been appointed to the school board as well. Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Scary.
So Paul,
that is scary.
Goes on to talk about the Bill of Rights, pretty much trashes it. He talks about Waco, how the United States showed its utter contempt for the unalienable rights of its citizens and the sovereigns of its creation. He goes on talking about that. Then he talks about the Bundy Ranch in Nevada that happened in 2014. Again, in January 2016 in Oregon. I don't want to read all of that, but those are the kind of things that he's bringing up. Now he goes on to say, I am not anti-government, anti-military, or anti-American. Quite the contrary. For generations, my family served the United States of America in both active and inactive service all over the world. Veterans like my family joined the military because of our love of country and our constitutional obligation. I never imagined there were any real, quote unquote, domestic enemies. Today, I know otherwise, following is a partial example of the activities of those domestic enemies. He talks about things that a lot of it's conspiracy, QAnon kind of things. That's how I see it anyway. But that's a whole lot of it. And there's still some more important information on here, though. If I can scroll down. This was 44 pages long.
Yeah, it's interesting. Waco was mentioned, right?
Yeah, it's it's a lot of detail. Most of it is just the case law versus the Bible quote for the most part, it seems like.
Right. He says, this is today we are poisoned by our spraying of our air, food, water, doctors' dealings, legal death, drugs, all at the blessing of government. Despicable. Shame on you.
I can agree with that. I can 100% agree with that statement. Today we are poisoned by our spraying of our air, food, water, doctors, dealings, legal death, drugs, all the blessing of government. Despicable. Shame on you. I agree with that part.
This is but a few of the many reasons, all reasons would fill many volumes, that I, a God-fearing living soul, must sever my relationship with the United States government. Too easy, heavy burden on my soul these foul deeds have laden it with. The water has gotten far too hot for me, for this frog, and is evaporating under the boil. Then he talks about angels coming down from heaven. As one of God's people, I must now also leave Babylon the Great and not partake of her sins any longer, lest I receive her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God will remember her iniquities. May God have mercy on the people of the United States. It's just, this is like just so crazy to me. When I read it, I'm like, what in the world?
It is. I mean, so for us, with the normal everyday U.S. American citizen, that this is ludicrous. It sounds insane. It's like just be a joiner. You don't have to join into the mainstream of things. You can speak as you want. You can believe as you want. You can do as you want without trespassing others. Why do you need to go to this route? And the reason being is to avoid anything legal coming upon you.
Yeah, and to me that's sketchy. Like, you want to avoid anything legal coming upon you. That means you want to do illegal shit and get away with it. Fuck that.
Make a point. It's like protesting everything that is the government.
That's right, Lori. Tell them.
Yeah, and he does say in here, he talks about taxes, how that's completely, basically illegal of the United States government. So they don't feel that they should have to pay any taxes. I don't know where they're a citizen.
I don't want to pay taxes.
They're an American state national, and that's just exactly what they're called. They are not sovereign citizens. They're American state nationals. He does explain a little bit more. Talks about the federal income tax. Definitely don't like taxes. It looks like somewhere he put everything like in a trust. I'm just trying not to bore people with a lot of the boring stuff in it.
It's
I
a
mean,
lot. We went cross-eyed looking through this thing. Oh my gosh. It was unreal to go through, and you read it, you're like, what are you thinking? What were you doing when you wrote this? But there's so much research that went into this, and
oh
I
my
don't,
goodness.
I've heard several things.
I mean, Finkelberger says he is absolutely right. America's sins are a stench unto the nostrils of the Lord. I agree with that. But it doesn't mean that you get to just run amok and do whatever you want and have zero consequences. I mean, if that was the case, okay, so what? The consequences are up only to the Lord? No, our consequences are up to the Lord in the long run, but we need consequences now. We don't, you can't unalive somebody and then 50 years down the road when you die, then you have to deal with your consequences. No, that's already going to happen. You should have to deal with your consequences here and now.
About Paul, I've read several things about Paul online, and this kind of, you can't fire me, I quit. You can't arrest
Right.
me. I'm not a player. You can't pick me. I'm not pickable. And so it is his way of saying I can walk the land as I please. Now, what's funny about this was ironic, I think, based on the affidavit. I'm going to say that because he's not been arrested. Therefore, there's been no arraignment. He has to live by God's law. So he has to lean back into that. He's not supposed to be doing anything, say maybe against the 10 Commandments. I believe in this particular document, and Kara, I think it's on the.
That's so true, Remy. That's so true. And those consequences after death are subject to one's belief system. Some don't even believe in heaven and hell, God and the devil. Like, some people don't believe in that.
Last page, can't remember for sure, but it's toward the end where he basically says, "You're still love thy neighbor."
Yeah.
So it's like, I think
Oh,
maybe you missed
so
some of
much
your Bible teaching.
contradiction. Yes,
Yeah.
so much contradiction.
there is.
And this is getting towards the end of it. Well, mostly towards the end of it. He goes on to say, since one has always been a non-resident alien of the United States, always known as an American state national. So according to them, all of us, every single person in this chat, we have always been non-resident aliens of the United States. It seems absurd that you would be required to prove it with rebuttal evidence, but that's exactly what you have to do. The government and the courts are not going to let you easily out of the system that it took them so long to put in place to fund their criminal activity. That right there tells you everything you need to know about how they feel about government. Therefore, I demand this affidavit be certified by the Secretary of State as evidence of my status as an American state national, and a passport correction be made to reflect such status and jurisdictional venue and returned to me. Let's see. Goes on, more state citizenship law case. State citizenship test. Okay, so this was the final part I wanted to read. So the conclusion: on every front, with blinding speed and inexhaustible power, the evil forces of darkness of the New World Order are closing a ring of fire on freedom. In every domain and field of human endeavor, the choking, suffocating idolatry permeates all fields of human thought, corrupting our language, destroying truth and justice, demolishing integrity and virtue, enacting totalitarian legislation, and controlling education and communities. Above all, the vilest evil is the destruction of our unborn children.
That's so true, Deeds. God also tells us to follow the laws of our land. He absolutely does. Bob Ross for God 2024. Messed up. Love thy neighbor, but murder family. No damn sense. If a non-citizen breaks the law, they are still held accountable. Absolutely. If you're here and you're living in this country, absolutely. It doesn't matter what you are. And that's what I'm wondering. Like, did they think that this would keep them from having consequences in our justice system? I don't know.
a thing so horribly vile that even maggots and filth do not do. Then they attack on our faith and its foundations of biblical thought and experience, demonizing God's followers as religious right-wing zealots to be held in ill repute, ever rapidly expanding its deviancy of evil, closing the parameters on the just, as the United States collapses inextricably into Babylon. So I hereby repudiate, rescind, renounce, and disavow any citizenship status with the United States government that I may have inadvertently acquired by any scheme for the reasons detailed in the foregoing articles.
I agree, Stevie. I mean, listen, I don't necessarily love the government. I really don't. Yes, I live in America. I think the government fucks us over on a daily basis. But I do think there's certain parts of the government that's needed. But I agree. Well, Stevie said, well, unfortunately for them, they are still held to the laws of the land that they live on. That's exactly right. And it's just like, if you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you, but you live here, so you got to deal with it.
My birthright now being...
And to think about it, you tell them to get the hell out of America then, but nowhere is as free as we are. So you're just going to leave here and go somewhere else and have less rights than you do here. So I don't know.
Resecured as a member of the sovereign body of free men and women known as Americans, American state nationals. I hereby pledge my allegiance only to God.
KCG, this is try to explain it. This is a document that Paul Grice, who is one of the people that is allegedly involved in the unaliving of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, the two Kansas moms. The dispute, Veronica was fighting for her kids back. Cray Granny, aka Tiffany Adams, didn't want her to have the kids back because she said that the kids were SA'd in Veronica's care. So Cray Granny decided to off Veronica and the supervisor that was with her for the supervised visitation. And this paperwork is explaining what God's misfits, kind of like the people involved in this, kind of roll with. What they kind of believe.
I shall live by the commandment of love thy neighbor and shall do no harm in my private pursuit of life, liberty, happiness.
Did y'all hear that?
It was really interesting. Very interesting.
Did y'all hear that last part?
Commandment of love thy neighbor and shall do no harm in my private pursuit of life, liberty, happiness.
Oh, well, my dude. You are accused of doing hella harm. Hella harm. You have been accused of being part of the ambush on those women.
It was really interesting, very interesting to read. The rest is kind of just, legal kind of stuff.
Fluff.
Yeah.
Fluff.
And there's his is actually the certified certification on it. So yeah. So that craziness.
Very crazy. Oh.
All right. Do we want to answer questions or do
we probably should, because it's the chat is hopping. So has Paul been talking? I don't think so. I've heard a lot of people come at me about him.
I agree, Finkelberger. I absolutely agree.
But I've not heard anything from him or seen that anybody has.
Like, if this is the way you want to live, I get it. But go by what you say. Like, realize that there are still consequences. Realize, like, if you say love thy neighbor, love thy neighbor. If you say do no harm, do no harm. If you're just trying to live your life and live it in the United States of America, you have to know you have laws to abide by. Abide by those laws and live your best life and kind of do your own thing. That does not include murder. It just doesn't. So, practice whatever you want. If you don't want to consider yourself an American citizen, fine. That's fine. but go by what you're stating. Instead, you did everything opposite. And it almost seems like you use this as a way to cover your ass, thinking that it somehow would cover you.
Is heard from him. I don't know about you, Carrie.
Nope. I've heard that he's like walking around town working and acting like nothing's happened. So, but then I don't know those people. Sources that we do have said he's hiding out. So I'm not really sure which. At this point, I don't even know what he's hiding from. I mean, you know, they sealed all of these warrants before they did anything. So it's highly likely that there is one out there for him that is still sealed. And we just don't know any more information.
Now she's talking about Paul Grice, the one that is alleged to have been with the other 4 that were already arrested and charged with the murder of Jillian and Veronica. He's the one we were like, well, why is he not locked up if he's mentioned? Well, it could be something as simple as they don't have anything other than Cora's daughter's testimony or statement to them to prove that, you know what I'm saying? Just because she said he was there, and just because she says, well, mom told me he was there, it doesn't mean that he actually was. That's hearsay. They have to be able to actually put him there. And that could be what's holding them off from arresting this dude.
Yep. Hopefully we'll find out one way or another. He is smart crazy.
Oksana, yeah, that's what we said yesterday in the group. They were all requesting public counsel. I mean, this is a DP case. That's an expensive case, because you have to have specific attorneys that can even do those cases. And then you're going to need a team of attorneys. And these people don't have that kind of money. They don't. They, like Tara said earlier, they're cash strapped. They might have a lot of property with a whole lot of, you know, mortgages and liens or whatever. But as far as cash, I just don't think that they have that.
And I agree, Lord, they could be hiding, because I mean, a lot of people don't want to talk to law enforcement, and, you know, they don't feel safe doing so. So Carrie is a safe option for them, and they know they'll stay anonymous with Carrie. So I don't know.
Nope, I don't think so either. I was trying to go through the chat. It's very active. So do the sovereign citizens pay taxes?
I don't think so. I mean, he states in that thing, well, the sovereign citizens, I don't know. We're talking about the American state nationals, which is what these people are.
Yeah, that's my question. Did they pay taxes on their land? Like, they would have to, right? Because, or if you had this paperwork, does it mean you don't have to pay taxes on your land? Let me know. I'm very interested in that. I want to not pay taxes. I don't think it works that way, though. I think that they do this and they still have to pay taxes because it's the law of the land.
So he specifically says he's not a sovereign citizen. He denounces all citizenship from the United States. So I guess if
I know, Remy, they had to, or it would have been taken, but what if it wouldn't have been taken due to this paperwork? American state nationals are part of the sovereign citizen movement. Yeah, they do pay tax. You would think they would have to. It is confusing. Oh my God, Carrie, it is. Finkelberger said they paid all local taxes, just not federal. Isn't federal what comes for you, though? Oh. Yeah, some of the land is leased. That's true. They talk a little bit more about it. We'll just let it play for a minute.
you've denounced your citizenship, you would expect that you're not going to be paying taxes. I don't know. What are your thoughts? And I'm hoping we can get somebody that's like kind of an expert at this stuff that will come and talk to us about it. That would be amazing. If
that would be amazing. I hope somebody contacts you.
Oh, it's hard to get through it. It's, you get kind of wonder how much, who helped them get through all that kind of stuff? Oh, there we go. It is, I see what you have on the screen there. So they're poor and not rich, like everyone's saying they had power. So WTF is going down. They don't need money to have power. Having land and influence, there's a lot of ways to get power without money. There's a lot of ways to influence others
Right,
and
Dee?
get what you want and need outside
Just
of
paid mine
money.
too.
So I don't know that money has a lot to do with this at all.
Mine's not that high,
Yeah,
but
I don't think so
still.
either. Beverly Goodrose said, I'd say this is a copy being circulated around, not that he actually authored it. That's what I'm pretty certain of that. You can look up American State Nationalists. They have their own website. And like I said earlier, if you pay a yearly member fee, you can also go to conferences, things like that. But they have all these legal like document templates for the people that want to do it. So basically, he just had to probably just add in his names and kids' names and that kind of thing and sign it.
But you're right.
Thank
Good
you,
point.
Sniff.
So from Cole's FB post, I say he votes, so he may not be an American State Nationalist.
Stevie.
He could vote before renouncing his citizenship, but not after. To my understanding, an American State National cannot vote. They can
I
own
agree,
land. I'm not sure how they
KCG.
would get a hold of land because of the things you have to get land. So I think there's some areas of blurriness to go still kind of clear up. Let's see there.
Yeah, definitely. Where did
That is
Paul Grice file? Okay, he filed this in Boise City, Cimarron County last year.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said earlier, the Cook family also did the same, as well as one of their daughters that's now married to Cole Twombly's son, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Lord, that's
Mhm.
possible.
So this is just a post that, obviously most people have seen it. But this was, Cole Twombly, now sitting in jail. He said, huge shout out to the Keys community and the Misfits for an awesome prayer in the park tonight. Keys is claimed for the Almighty God through Jesus' name. Nothing can stop what is coming. The wording of it just gives me the EBGBs.
Creepy.
It really does.
So creepy. It just speaks to it speaks like national news type of stuff, right? It just doesn't speak kindly whatsoever.
I was telling y'all the other night, like Paul Grice, like when I first seen his name in the affidavit, I immediately Facebook, straight to Facebook to see who this person was. And she reads one of the posts that I was telling y'all about where you can tell that he drank the Kool-Aid.
Right.
But it might be worthwhile to point out that in that particular post, Cole Twombly is a part of the Misfits. But I'll note that he does not use the term God's Misfits. He just says Misfits. And in doing some of the research into what that means, because originally this was all identified as a cult, a crazy, scary cult. And so we looked into that and we started to get some smoothing out of those lines, that it's not a cult by the typical traditional sense of the word, but it's basically a bunch of people who really didn't care for everything their respective churches were saying. And so they just kind of went their own way, and eventually in creating their own little groups, they found one another. And I think there's just several families that they meet, and they do, from what a lot of people say, they just do the typical church thing on their own time and their own, could be residences, could be wherever they decide to meet, the Keys area, for instance. And so,
and I feel like that's kind of normal. You're always going to have little subsections of groups. I do want to make it known though that Paul has removed his Facebook or hidden it or something because he's not there anymore.
I have heard they are very much one-sided in political beliefs, and so that's probably where some of that fear factoring comes in. I'm not sure. If she was read her Miranda rights and then confessed to murder, she's in trouble. I hope so. That would be great. That'd be awesome. Fruit Loops. I like when we put the funny ones up there.
I do too. You have to get a little bit of humor for sure.
You do.
That's exactly correct, Oksana. I went on their website, so I just know that. And I also know that the members that we know of for a fact are members, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about that. I have a couple of stories from people that actually attended meetings, and I have kind of two sides to the story. And
hey, Richard, thank you for that. This all goes to Carrie and Tara. I'm just streaming it, but I love what they did together. It was super informational, and I appreciated it. It helped me understand things a little more. You have a good weekend too.
over
Reach out if you need anything.
our research and stuff. I'm gonna give you some of that information. This was from Paul Grice, December 20th, 23. And here he is saying not quite the same thing as Cole, but he says, I love life because now that I actually understand what life really is, it makes me laugh, because if I were woke, I would be depressed. Instead, I am not woke. I am a people, and we are on an amazing journey in life. So instead of being controlled, we are taking control of the situation and using the authority that God gave us. His people have the authority to be the spiritual man or woman that God meant for us to be. So my new religion isn't new. It's just real. Okay.
Lord have mercy.
Doesn't sound any less. It aligns. It fits.
That is the longest run-on sentence I've seen in a while.
It's legit. And that's coming from, I mean, I'm going to speak for myself. That's coming from somebody that doesn't live in the area, isn't living the same life down there with the, the remote area. I live in a big city. And so to me, and that's one of the things you got to take into account as perspective to somebody that is close to Paul and others that believe like him. This makes sense.
It does make sense. Okay. So I hope that helped everybody else understand a little more. They also mentioned that the God's Misfits on Facebook are not this group. The God's Misfits that people, because I've heard that circulating, they're on Facebook. Oh my God. Yeah, they're not the same group. The ones on Facebook do good things. Obviously, the ones in real life don't. So I hope that helped everybody. Thank you, Carrie, for helping us understand it. We appreciate you. Make sure if you're not, you go sub up to her. She is killing it. Okay, so next, we're just going to go over these really quick because the first one they came out with was about ITAL, and that one kind of confused me a little bit. So we're going to kind of segue over to something else involving true crime. No, this does not have anything to do with Paul Grice, but I will change the thumbnail. But I've got another hour, 50 minutes before I have to leave, so we're going to go over a few more things. Let's see. This one's on Laura. So they did a video on ITAL trying to figure out the psyche of ITAL, right? But it was kind of confusing. I felt like the video was put together really well, but it was confusing as fuck. So here, let me drop this link. This one is the ITAL video. It is word salad. It's so confusing. Yep. But they popped up when I was pulling up Carrie. They've popped up in my suggested, and I was like, oh, they've continued making videos? And that's when I seen that they made one on Laura, Betty, Laura again, and then Dolly. So we're going to watch it because I want to see what they're saying. And we're going to put it on 1.5 and see if that works. Word salad KCG is a bunch of words put together and it makes no sense.
Today's profile is a persona who has been around for years, frequently popping up at random places at the most inappropriate times, often ruining productive discussions, and with some of the objectively worst behavior and words no less. Think you know this one? Well, here is another hint before we get into it. I predict that this creator will, in typical form, have a knee-jerk reaction to this video and defensively reply, in a feeble effort to justify their conduct and words. Or, the creator will dissect who they think I am and claim they know what motivates me, making a...
So... I do feel like whoever's behind this channel, they want people to be questioning and trying to figure out who they are the same way people are questioning and trying to figure out who Atao is. They want that same kind of attention. That's the first thing I get with this channel.
Comment that they think I just want their attention as if that is my end game. What this creator will probably not realize is the truth of the matter, which is that is not the end game. In fact, my analysis and content is just getting started because, in my view, it is about time that creators in true crime and trauma started being put under the same kind of microscope they use on the victims and people they cover on their channels. Using the same level of scrutiny the creator uses to examine and speculate on the acts and words of victims, I do the same. Well, except I limit myself exclusively to what I observe publicly of the creator online. What they voluntarily choose to show of themselves on here and social media. I look beyond who creators claim they are, what they say they are doing, and why they are doing it. I do not give weight to the size of...
First off, why is Bailey Sarian on here? Why is Duty Ron on here? Why is Kendall Ray on here?
a channel or following or what other creators they affiliate with.
Why is Chasing on here?
Pay attention to are the creator's own online acts and words that they voluntarily
I was trying to see who all the other pictures are.
choose to display to the world. I simply observe, record, and assess the patterns I see in the creator's own behaviors using my own skill set. I am just like any other viewer. I am just like you. I lurk in the true crime and trauma community, taking it all in. Who knows? You may have seen me in chats or a Discord. There is more to what I am doing, and maybe one day I will reveal more. The second creator persona to
No one cares if you reveal more.
enter into the study is that of Perplexed. Perplexed appears to have started out with growth in the true crime community, covering the Netflix documentary called Making a Murderer. A brief survey of Perplexed's coverage reveals that she likely spent time to do research, prepare, and present her content. Once the buzz over Making a Murderer started to wane, it appears that Perplexed started to shift focus, and in my opinion, her efforts synthesized into a more trauma-focused presentation with little to no preparation. Since then, Perplexed has revealed patterns in her own online actions and words. First, in my opinion, Perplexed presents a pattern that could be suggestive that she has low self-esteem, as seen by a repeated display of an aggressive effort to project confidence. We will explore this further, but as an example, Perplexed usually ignores or minimizes different opinions and often abruptly interrupts or speaks loudly over others if she disagrees with those possessing an opposing viewpoint. She also appears to be highly threatened by any feedback or constructive criticism, consistently demonstrating a knee-jerk reaction with an automatic, thoughtless, derogatory comment as a reply either to or about the person who provided feedback or criticism. Such a quick response hints at a possible lack of real confidence, as those truly confident in their opinions typically will listen to what a critic has to say, take a moment to process the information, and engage
Well, they use Canva. I can tell you that.
in respectful discussion. Perplexed also frequently displays a deep need to point
I cannot tell you, however, the resolution it was uploaded in. I probably could, but I don't give a fuck.
out that she thinks others lack intellectual prowess. Just a random sampling of videos helps demonstrate this pattern. Listen to the following to hear for yourself.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You really, truly don't.
I really think she's dumb. I do. So I'm never going to get her to understand that. I'm never going to get her to see it because her brain just doesn't work like a normal person. Because nobody can be this fucking stupid. Nobody. Because we are smarter than they are. And I'm sorry I had to say it, but it's true.
The repetitious pattern of a need to comment on the intellectual capacity of others reflects the strong likelihood of Perplexed's self-doubt about her own intellectual capacity. Frequently, the fixation on assessing the intellect of others may provide a glimpse into the inner turmoil and anxiety one has over their own intellectual limits, and the threat presented from even the slightest hint that others may perceive them as being outwitted by others. Many individuals who behave this way do so as a way of shifting the focus off of their own limitations. The act of directing others to examine the intellect of someone else may serve as a coping mechanism to help manage one's own feelings of that they may not measure up to others. Combined with this pattern, Perplexed's voice and cadence frequently escalates, and she gets louder and speaks ever so slightly faster when confronted by another person she may perceive as an intellectual threat. For example, a professional attorney entered Perplexed's chat on a recent discussion about someone who might have impersonated an attorney. The attorney appeared to be offering benign legal commentary and clarification.
Oh, hell.
In response, Perplexed mumbled a few words of the real lawyer's sentence from the chat, and then said,
I will say, I'm going to dive in to the psyche of this true crime psyche reviewer. I think this reviewer is super insecure with themselves, at least their looks, because every picture they're putting up of Laura is a terrible picture. Sorry, Laura. It's just like they want to catch you on the worst angles. They want to use the worst pictures. I'm sure if a video's done on me, it'll be my triple chins and my fat arms. I mean, so I'm just saying, you gonna dive into psyches, I'm gonna dive into your psyche.
To the lawyer, but followed by Perplexed's own sweeping conclusion about the legal matter, which represented her unprofessional layperson thought. As the chat continued, it appeared, in my opinion, that Perplexed was not attempting to have a dialogue or ask questions of the attorney to satisfy her genuine curiosity, but instead try to shoo the lawyer away in a dismissive manner and try to convince others that she possesses extraordinary legal insight. As a way to further provide an illustration of this concept, imagine, if you will, that there are two animals in the sea. One is a dolphin, one of the smartest animals known to man. The other is the bony-eared assfish, known for its tiny brain, lack of cognition, and making its home at the bottom of the sea. The bony-eared assfish is a bottom feeder, but the dolphin swims above, looking for other fish and food sources closer to the top. The dolphin is not interested in the bony-eared assfish, but when the dolphin glides down near the dregs at the bottom, the assfish, recognizing a threat, reflexively lashed out. Such is the situation with Perplexed. Like the assfish when the lawyer entered the chat, Perplexed may have sensed an intellectual threat, so she reflexively became loud and hastened her speech as a subconscious way to protect herself from a perceived threat of getting outsmarted or appearing intellectually inferior. This is also depicted in Perplexed's choice of words in her channel description. Here, as you can see, she includes a statement that she is extremely well-versed in the United States justice system. You see, she does not just say she is well-versed, but she felt the need to say she is extremely well-versed. The inclusion of the word extremely appears to support just how much Perplexed needs and wants to convince others of a superior legal prowess. In similar fashion, Perplexed reveals a pattern whereby she has a tendency to verbalize the need to be right or to be recognized for having forewarned the community. Often, Perplexed can be heard saying things like, "I said that," or "I said that months ago and no one listened," or "I called that out before." A person's consistent need to stress that they are right, that they said something earlier than another, or that they told you so, hints at several possibilities about their persona. 1. The pattern may hint that the speaker is angry and frustrated due to a history of being repeatedly ignored. 2. It could suggest that a speaker perceives themselves to be in competition with others who have pointed out the same thing later on. It may also arise when someone lacks the understanding of why someone else has success or a failure to identify the other person's likability factor. Usually, this can be seen where a person lacks self-awareness. This sort of thing can occur where a person fails to self-reflect, and therefore they get stuck in, pun intended, their own perplexity because they lack insight about their own behaviors. They end up feeling inadequate, but instead of trying to find the answers within, they end up pointing out inadequacies they feel are inherent in others.
I will say, this one's not as much word salad as the ITAL one was. And I think it's because this one is covering somebody that they know. Like, they see Laura. They've witnessed Laura covering things and calling people out and talking shit. They don't get that with ITAL. So, I mean, they tried their best, I guess, with ITAL, but ITAL being anonymous fucked them. Like, they just had no idea.
To be fair and thorough in any analysis, an alternative theory as to what I have stated so far could also provide insight as to the meaning of Perplexed's own online actions and words. Everything I just explained as being possibilities derived from observing patterns, in my opinion, may not actually exist in reality. That is because an alternative is that what we see is an act. If so, what we see comprises a make-believe character contrived by whoever Perplexed really is. It could potentially all be part of the effort to create content, particularly in the true crime community. So instead of doing any work or researching true crime as she did when she started out, she might just rely on summoning up a contrived persona. It is an alternative theory that this is just an act, a role being played to create drama and controversy, drum up attention and clicks and views, and try to get some super chats, offline account donations, and candle sales. It could be that the acts and words only come out when the StreamYard goes on and the character known as Perplexed takes center stage. It might explain why she is always popping up on other creators' panels, where she has no idea what is going on and has absolutely nothing to do with anything that's transpiring. It could all just be improvisation, taking the opportunity when presented, to perform the character with no preparation. All of this being said, going on the assumption that Perplexed is real and not a contrived character act, she also demonstrates other patterns. Her words and acts consistently demonstrate that she is a dedicated, involved parent. For example, she frequently mentions her children in her content and even features them as the subject of her videos. Whenever speaking of her children, her entire disposition and speech pattern appears to change, in my opinion. She goes from highly agitated and defensive to more calm and pleasant. This repeated pattern shown by Perplexed's acts and words, and observing her in this capacity, is momentarily heartwarming and provides the hint of a softer side. She also occasionally shows an unusual softer side and deep care for specific people. In my opinion, her comments and actions occasionally show this if you observe long enough. For example, she recently shared how she visited a terminally ill channel subscriber when traveling back from dropping her son off at college. Perplexed appeared to demonstrate compassion in her acts and words regarding this subscriber. She also took the time to design a video about the subscriber and had a fundraiser for the American Cancer Society, which she donated $50 to. While the softer side is evident once in a while, it is sorely inconsistent, in my opinion. Perplexed recently shared that she too is dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and I hope she has a successful outcome. But around the same time frame, she told another person that she hoped they developed cancer and it ate them from the inside out.
Maybe you'll get cancer and it'll eat you from the inside out, bitch.
In my opinion, such a statement is surprising to hear from someone afflicted with their own cancer diagnosis. However, it may be a manifestation of one's own fears, but either way, this only reinforces the stark inconsistencies in Perplexed's own acts and words in relation to exhibiting compassion towards other people. A review of years of acts and words indicates, in my opinion, that Perplexed rarely displays kindness, compassion, and empathy in her YouTube public persona in favor of making vile and repugnant comments towards others. What creators do you want to see an analysis for? Suggestions can be typed into the comments below this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
All right, so let's go to Bullhorn Betty. I know, KCG. Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure someone did. I'm sure someone did. I mean, you know, it's not like if we go back. Yeah, so far. Because what I just heard them saying about Laura supposedly manufacturing drama and playing a role, I don't see a video on Queen, so it's very possible they are a Hive member or something. Either way, whatever. Dive into my psyche, please.
Who comes to mind when you think of a creator who works hard, puts their life on the line to find answers, and bring truth like no other channel you know?
Anyone? Anyone?
Chances are you are
Do
now
it.
thinking of the endless list of creators in true crime and drama and cannot identify it. Well, you are not alone. And yet, today's creator describes themselves as this and much more in their channel description. But before we get into this creator, it's only fair for me to tell you about me. For years, I have watched the true crime and drama community just like
Nobody
you. I
cares
am among the
about
mass
you,
appeared on
bro.
over time, exclusively by way of their own online actions and words. You might even, in the world that I come from, watching creators' actions and words time and time, the acts and words of a creator may betray the persona they so desperately persona appearing on my screen. Like the ways I do the same. Creators, YouTube, and social media all a chat TV or they're today's creator. This creator is one I decided to profile based upon a tally of your suggestions. Entering into the study is the creator known as Bullhorn Betty. Bullhorn Betty entered
Right,
YouTube
Penny?
around the same time she decided to stand outside the Florida home of Brian Laundrie's parents, uselessly shouting at them through a bullhorn and adding to a disruptive, loud, and unproductive ruckus in a residential neighborhood. Her antics achieved nothing for the greater good of anyone unless you count her own interest in getting attention, but instead it appeared that all that was achieved was creating chaos, wasting police resources.
I do like how the videos are put together, though. Like all the effects and whatnot. I do like that.
Interfering with the peace and influencing a change in a Florida law such that it is now against the law to protest in groups in residential neighborhoods. But let us pay attention now only to what the Bullhorn's own online acts and words suggest about her persona. The Bullhorn appears to possess an exaggerated sense of self-importance. For example, she consistently refers to herself as we, as you can see in her own channel description.
We
The
already
choice of the
know
word
that.
we hints that she believes her influence is so significant that it results in a widespread impact. In my opinion, her use of the word we denotes a need to convince others that she is a very powerful person. Bullhorn also appears to be unemployed by anyone, yet consistently refers to her online antics as her, quote, work. In my opinion, she uses the word work to try and legitimize her antics, and possibly as a way to distract from the possibility that she is not producing anything from her so-called work, the way
I kind of agree with this.
a productive person does. In my view, she also uses the term as a way to convince others that her antics are not just a farce, but should be taken seriously, that she is performing a critical and necessary skilled function. And without her quote work, the world might collapse. It doesn't appear that the bullhorn realizes that her quote work record is deplete of her own success in solving cases, or her efforts actually resulting in her locating missing people. The bullhorn's own acts and words also denote, in my opinion, that she has a fantasy of superior expertise. For instance, she repeatedly advises her audience that she knows the law. However, her own online actions and words suggest that she lacks legal expertise. This can be seen when she attempted to advise her audience of laws from the state of Georgia, yet appeared to rely on laws that govern the Republic of Georgia. On countless other occasions, in my view, she appeared to lack a basic comprehension of the law, let alone demonstrate superior mastery. Bullhorn Betty's explosive reactions to criticism appears to line up with those who possess illusions of superiority. Often, when a person lives with such fantasy, it is a rude awakening when they realize that others may not see them that way. Such a realization may cause one to erupt with severe anger. This may explain why the bullhorn appears to lash out so severely, become aggressively agitated, and behave in a cataclysmal manner when anyone criticizes her. Bullhorn also shows, in my own observation, a certain boost in confidence and self-esteem if she receives any recognition, or if she may receive attention. For instance, when she appears in media interviews, she appears to perk up and change her demeanor. In my opinion, she almost appears euphoric at times when she gets attention. Such an instance of this was when another creator known as Dolly Vision started mentioning the bullhorn. The bullhorn lit up when she spoke of the attention she received. When she later protested outside of the home of Quentin Simon, alongside Dolly Vision, she also appeared markedly elated, in my opinion, whenever he gave her attention. After observing this in other scenarios as well, it seems to me that any attention inflates the bullhorn's sense of importance, and therefore, it energized her. Often with these cases, when anyone intrudes upon this euphoria, a person will react by attempting to severely punish the intruder. This is because a person will deem the intrusion as a threat or a destabilizer to their inflated sense of importance that was derived from attention. It is possible that explains why Bullhorn Betty appears to attack anyone giving an opinion on her very public antics, because she is feeling a boost.
You're still, whoever's behind this channel is still insecure as fuck because you still keep using the worst of the worst photos of people.
In confidence and self-esteem, but criticism will knock that down for her, so she will angrily attack anyone that impedes. Frequently, when a person is angry in this way, they are so inflamed and self-focused that they do not ruminate on their feelings. So instead, they simply lash out solely aimed at attacking the person they see as a threat. They often get so caught up in anger and enacting punishment that the last thing they are contemplating is the avoidance of any negative outcomes or possible consequences of their outburst. Sometimes, persons who behave in this way may begin to have paranoia, especially if they become so deeply entrenched in their anger towards others that they begin to see the
We all like attention. We're here.
benign as a possible threat. As a result of this, coupled with illusions of importance and superiority, many individuals with this persona may avoid responsibility and therefore do not see or accept any blame. Frequently, if this kind of person offers an apology, it will sound something like this. I am sorry if I did X, Y, and Z, but I only did it because of something you did. Or, I apologize for doing that. I would not have done that if you did not do what you did to me. This is similar to the concept of gaslighting and can often be characteristic of those possessing narcissistic character traits. What true crime and trauma creators would you like to see me profile next? All suggestions will be considered and can be typed.
This one's on Dolly. I know, but I mean, listen, Stevie, I didn't think this was a clowning channel. I thought it was supposed to be diving into the psyche. I'm talking weird. I got my mouth guard in. I'm sorry.
Recently, in the world of psychology, there's been an uptick in an awareness of loneliness due to trends stemming from the pandemic, social media, and working from home. There has been a marked increase in the number of people living with pervasive loneliness and the anxiety that can stem from that. YouTube is an easy way that can help people cope with loneliness. It is easy to access and increase a person's ability to socialize. And it is certainly easy to start watching creators and get hooked on a sense of being part of something. There are varied creators out there with all sorts of communities, many of which are centered around pretty benign topics. But in true crime and trauma, with its usual morbid circumstances, there are creators who are, simply put, con-like opportunists, looking to capitalize on the loneliness of viewers and their interest in true crime. There are studies which can help to understand all of this, but I am not going to address that. Instead, what I will address is a creator who, in my opinion, engages in online acts and words that suggest they are an opportunist, using missing children as a way to generate money from unaware people who are looking to be part of a community. Before I get into this creator, allow me to tell you about myself. For years, I have watched true crime and trauma. Time, data, life, webs, and tell, even national disaster. There is more to what I am doing, entering into true crime. It appears that this creator had a bit of a YouTube presence prior to entering into true crime, in a channel he called Jimmy Jams TV. It looks like it was a channel aimed at covering entertainment, popular culture, music, and sports. A review of the prior channel indicates that it was largely unsuccessful, with a low rate of views. But once Dolly Vision created his new channel covering true crime,
Southern Gal, this channel came out after iTal, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look. It's a month old, I think. They joined March 12th, 2024.
to socialize, and it is sold on in myself. Maybe I have been on a panel, or you have seen super chats I have given to support create a chat or interests, and I heard the world I come from. This interested me. Creators own on creator may act what they choose, but I only no value Evolve TV channel. The next creator entering into the study is known as Dolly Vision. It appears that this creator had a bit of a YouTube presence prior to entering into true crime
Okie, thanks
in a
for
channel he
being
called
here.
Jimmy Jams TV. It looks like it was a channel aimed at covering entertainment, popular culture, music, and sports. A review of the
You
prior
think
channel
so?
indicates that it was largely unsuccessful, with a low rate of views.
I
But
don't
once
know,
Dolly Vision
Southern
created
Gal.
his new
Think you're
channel
smart
covering true
enough.
crime, the channel started to grow. Dolly Vision possesses a certain charisma. He frequently presents himself in a way that appear, in my opinion, to be goofy, silly, sheepish, giddy, admittedly ignorant, and Philistine. He occasionally appears cocky and undaunted. For instance, even when he is wrong about something, he will
I
continue
have
to
an
try and
idea
convince
who it
others
is.
that he is right.
And the best way to do that for you, an example of filing a false DMCA by giving you a video that Dolly actually flagged falsely. That complies completely with fair use, and he should have known better. So we will look at that in a little bit. Let's continue on. Remember, $1.99 attorney.
Since video day, and I was thinking to myself, I've never wrongfully struck somebody's channel. I don't go to the channel doing violating copyright issues, like showing my videos and things like that.
Showing my videos and things like that is not a violation de facto of copyright. So when you make a statement that I've never done it, and here's why, because they show my videos and things like that, that is not the right standard. Somebody can use your videos. Somebody can use clips of your videos and completely be within the bounds of fair use.
And yet Dolly Vision continues to fall strike, publicly stating he can and will if anyone uses his content.
You use my clips, I'm striking you. As soon as I touch Virginia, some of them already got hit. As soon as I touch down in Virginia, I'm striking all your chances.
At times, in my opinion, his online acts hint that he may purposely be trying to come across as a proverbial village idiot. But watching more closely, one starts to observe a pattern that may suggest Dolly Vision is far from a village idiot, but may be a sly opportunist exploiting cases involving missing children, not to actually help the child and family, but as a way to generate income from viewers and hawking his wares. These include soap and bath products, all of which he claims he makes by hand, plus other run-of-the-mill promotional Dolly Vision branded merchandise like clothing, sunglasses, pillows, and cups. He appears relentless in his shameless self-promotion, as the following reveals.
Gifted one? Man, that's a lot of virtual love right there. I'm going to be giving all kinds of virtual hugs today. Dolly got to eat, okay? I get to eat, me and Lolo. Look, Lolo, we get to eat. We get to eat, okay?
Look
Lolo
at
gotta eat.
Lolo.
Okay, she's bougie, too. She's bougie. Guys, you ain't joined up yet? What are you waiting for? It's Dolly Vision. Look, ain't many YouTubers going to give you the entertainment value for $2.99, less than a cup of coffee, less than this Starbucks right here. You can be a member of this channel for a whole month.
In my opinion, Dolly Vision's own acts and words appear to show a pattern of behavior that is opportunistic and could even be described as predatory. With this kind of behavior, a person will look for opportunity to take advantage of a situation or a person and will proceed to do so. When the benefit gained from the situation or person runs out, the opportunist also runs out and severely curtails or abruptly stops devoting any effort to the situation or person they so intensely had been involved with. The opportunist actually possesses no genuine care in the situation or person. They were only using it for personal gain. They will then be on the prowl for a new situation or person to exploit for their personal gain. In surveying Dolly Vision's true crime coverage, in my opinion, a pattern emerges that tends to show that he primarily homes in on missing children cases, takes the opportunity to use the case for clicks, views, cash apps, and sales. He appears to rapidly create content, producing numerous consecutive videos on one case even when there is no official information released. Then, when active cases wane, Dolly Vision is often immediately onto another more popular case, and such a pattern starts to emerge. In recent months, as an example of this pattern, Dolly Vision's coverage on active missing child cases appears to be escalating. For instance, between February 29th to March 23rd, 2024, Dolly Vision presently has 39 publicly available videos about Madeline Soto and her tragic death. So in less than 25 days, and with limited officially released information on the case, Dolly Vision produced 39 live streams. Then in the most recent case involving missing child Sebastian Rogers, between March 23rd, 2024 to the date of this video's publication, Dolly has released 42 publicly available live streams and one produced video about the missing child. The titles of the most recent live streams contain highly sensationalized terminology and primarily includes speculative discussions of the minor missing children, possible circumstances, crimes, perpetrators, allegations, and accusations, most of which are not based upon factual evidence.
What's
The content and
the
discussion
initial?
appear, in my opinion, so grossly illogical, inaccurate, unprincipled, and unreasonable that it quickly becomes evident that the content has no value.
See, yeah.
You in helping educate the public about the child, or help spread awareness of facts, or help solve a case or locate the missing child. Instead, it comes across as purely salacious, exploitative, and conscienceless. Dolly Vision also recently showed up on the scene in Tennessee, where an organized nonprofit search team was tasked with assisting in conducting searches to locate missing Sebastian Rogers.
What do you mean, KCG? T? You'll have to message me on Discord. What do you mean, KCG? Remember the chat after BHB filed on Queen? What happened when Jones and Ananya broke up with the Hive? Steph B said, KCG, what happened?
Search team, after encountering various live streamers while using dogs to search, issued a request asking live streamers to please help them out by refraining from showing up at the search location for a 24-hour period so they could organize. However, Dolly Vision appeared to disregard the request and showed up at the location. Whether he intended to participate in the search without filming is uncertain. Dolly Vision later explained in a live stream from the parking lot that he had been approached by an apparent member of the search team. Dolly Vision appeared highly agitated and angry about the encounter and referred to the nonprofit team using expletives and suggested they were unskilled. You can hear this for yourself.
Send a real motherfucking army. Send real people. Don't send no shit like this. Don't do it.
The super chat is there. I don't know what you mean, KCG.
I'll make sure when I get back to the fucking crib, I delete them on Facebook. I'll be like, these shitty ass people. Huh. I go missing. Don't send the Cajun army looking for me. Okay.
The next day, after 2 more streams where Dolly Vision again referred to the non-profit in derogatory terms, Dolly Vision visited what looked like a park. The area had a trail and a body of water. Dolly Vision announced that he received a tip to look for Sebastian in the area, so he stated he was going to search. At no time does Dolly Vision indicate that he has attempted to coordinate any effort with the organized non-profit or law enforcement. He does not display a map or explain his method. He only says he will remain on the trail, at the perimeter of the wooded area. Dolly Vision walks steadily through what appears to be a large open, grassy area with a body of water nearby. He haphazardly stops a few times and looks into the woods, but does not go deeper. Eventually, he arrives on a dock at the water, where he shows a panoramic-type water view with clear blue skies. He proceeds to talk about ducks and then goes back the same way he came. It becomes clear, in my opinion, that this is not a legitimate search for Sebastian. Later, Dolly Vision films himself waiting for a flight to return home from his alleged search efforts. He mentions one reason for his departure is due to the non-profit organization, and says he will return.
I am flying back today, and I will be back.
As of the date of the publication of this video, Dolly Vision has not returned. Watching this play out, it was yet another recent example of a pattern Dolly Vision displays, which we will discuss more about in this video. But it also demonstrated how quickly Dolly Vision quit, how fast he gave up his alleged attempt to help search for a missing child, and how he devoted so much time in his content to angrily speak of his problems regarding the nonprofit's request. Dolly Vision certainly did not appear to be someone who was able to put aside differences in order to achieve the greater purpose of locating a missing child. It came across at times that the only thing that mattered was Dolly Vision's feelings, not the missing child. I felt it was important to specifically include this recent case, as it all tends to demonstrate a full package of what appears as highly obvious exploitative conduct. In my opinion, just looking at this recent case, one can see this.
Yes. KCG, have you noticed that the gifted memberships were coming in like gangbusters? Absolutely, yeah.
This is merely one instance. Let us now break this down more and explore the pattern in greater detail. As you watch the rest of this video, keep the following question in mind. If the child is not being benefited by what I am seeing in these videos, who does? And the answer to this question, in my opinion, as will be explained more in this video, is someone exploiting a missing child for personal gain, and thus an opportunist. In fairness, it is worth noting that Dolly Vision typically claims his interest is for the child, the victim, for looking for missing people and for keeping their name out there. However, he repeatedly states that his content is for fun and entertainment, as you can hear for yourself in this clip.
Allegedly, entertainment purposes. Listen, guys, anything you hear here on Dolly is not to be taken as fact, okay? It may be, it may not.
Taking this one step further, Dolly Vision, in his own video descriptions, explicitly reveals that he is using these true crime cases for entertainment purposes only. In fact, he emphasizes that viewers take it with a, quote, grain of salt and do their own research. This again underscores that Dolly Vision may be using missing child cases, not to help anyone. Unless you believe that Dolly Vision showing up on scene and making useless, salacious content that financially benefits only himself constitutes being of service to a missing child. Similar to the hallmarks of an opportunist discussed so far, when there is waning interest in a case and a case is not receiving a consistent viewer count, it appears in the pattern that Dolly Vision quickly moves on to another case for his entertainment-only content. In my opinion, I have yet to see Dolly Vision create multiple consecutive live streams devoted to obscure missing child cases, despite there being thousands of missing children out there who need attention. So the absence of that is noted in the pattern, for it is the lack of that appearing in Dolly Vision's pattern that actually strengthens my opinion of his acts and words that denote potential opportunism. In other words, the lack of a showing folds into the pattern that tends to present someone who may not be in true crime out of a desire to be useful, but is in it for personal gain. Dolly Vision, who repeatedly tells his audience that he is, quote, all about finding missing people, appears to lack formal training, formal education, or expertise in searching for missing persons. The lack of any qualifications, coupled with his failure to discuss any interest to obtain such competence, strengthens my opinion that he may simply be using his alleged search efforts for missing children as a meal ticket. This is also bolstered by the inappropriate search attire, methods, and activity he demonstrates in his own content, where he claims to be searching for missing children. In the Summerwells case, Dolly Vision claimed to be performing a water search for the missing child. Here he was shown in a childish-looking green mask, a snorkel, and flippers. He randomly skims a small portion of a lake where Summerwells was allegedly playing on the day she disappeared. At one point, Dolly Vision emerges from the surface, brandishing a large machete-like knife for no apparent reason. It appears, in my opinion, to be for show, for entertainment purposes, perhaps an effort to depict the Hollywood-created serial killer Jason from the Friday the 13th movie series. Based upon an analysis of the sunlight, shadows, and reflections in the water, it appears that this so-called water search was very brief, perhaps 30 minutes at most. The alleged search smacks of a superficial, irreverent farce that left this viewer curious if this whole scenario was meant to be a joke. With this out of the way, in part 2, we will take a deep dive into possible character traits.
There's a part 2 for Dolly. Wow. Somebody's really focused on him. I kind of agree with most of that video, though. Solely because Dolly has went from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Like, he goes for what's popping in the moment. And he changes with I don't know how to explain it. Like, he used to be like conspiracy theory. He was, what's that rapper's name that snitched, Toshi or whatever? He covered him a lot. I think he covered QAnon or no, MK Ultra. I don't know. But he goes with the flow for what's bringing in the attention and the views in the moment. So I do agree with that. All right, we'll let's watch the iTowel one. Yeah, what's hot? Yeah.
The origins of true crime psyche came from observing the true crime community for years.
Support does soar when there's conflict. Absolutely. If there's conflict in the community, abso-fucking-lutely.
Watching, and who knows, maybe I am one of you. Maybe you have said hello to me in chat, or seen me unbeknownst to you in a Discord. I know I've probably seen many of you in the community, but I am most curious about the people who are the creators of this genre we share, known as true crime. The truth is, truths reveal more to you as pseudo-truth that many refer to as. We have a rather new creator by the name of In Their Own Words, which some refer to as IT Dao. I have chosen this as my first video because it is easy to see. After viewing the creator's content, it appears that IT Dao is trying to use sound bites from a creator
IT Dao
by the name of Queen Bee in order to allege dishonesty and related behavior. Unfortunately, the sound bites do not support what the creator alleges. For example, each of ITAO's videos begin with "the community is in shambles. I am just an observer of true crime and crama genre, but to my knowledge, the community is perfectly intact." But for
no. See, no. The community was not perfectly intact a month ago. We're still not completely intact. We're still divided. Because there are people on the right side doing the wrong things.
For my purposes, whether there is any merit to Itu's allegations is not of interest. I am only interested in the online creator persona and their online patterns, statements, and actions. My focus on this creator and their persona is this. What can we learn by looking at these videos? Why has the creator designed an entire channel to their subject matter? What motivates them and who benefits? An overall survey of ITLU's videos, in my opinion, represent work created by an angry, hurt person with a former personal connection to Queen Bee. This is based upon ITLU's repetitious accusations and
so this is them basically insinuating it's either me or Nunya or Deets So because we were the only three that had left the most recent, like shit hit the fan when we left.
Choice of bitter language, hinting that the creator is scorned and attempting to exact vengeance. Since ITOW is anonymous, that suggests several alternatives about their identity. First, it is likely that ITOW is a fellow creator or former Queen Bee subscriber who is known in the community. Revealing their identity is something ITOW does not want to risk. This may indicate they have doubt about what they are alleging, or it may suggest that ITOW's other online persona is one that is quite different. ITOW's other persona is likely someone perceived as being
Or, hold on, let's rewind that.
fellow creator or former Queen Bee subscriber who is known in the community. Revealing their identity is something ITOW does not want to risk. This may indicate they have doubt about what they are alleging, or it may suggest that ITOW's other online persona is one that is quite different. ITOW.
I don't think that's it at all. It could be that they don't want anyone to know who they are because then they would feel there's a bias. I mean, there's obviously a bias, right? Like that's glaringly obvious, but maybe the person behind the iTow channel wants to stay anonymous so that people take what they are putting out more serious, as to think it's, instead of thinking, oh, well, it's just somebody, you know, who wants to take vengeance on Queen, or somebody who's had a problem or a falling out with Queen. Maybe they don't want them to think that. Maybe, just saying. I don't know. Just putting some ideas out there.
W's other persona is likely someone perceived as being non-confrontational, gentle, level-headed, trustworthy, and fair, so ITOWE fears exposure. Or alternatively, ITOEO may have a terrible reputation, so perhaps they feel the need to hide who they are because their claims would not be taken seriously should their other YouTube identity be revealed. Moving on, in one of iTow's videos, they solicit anyone to email them incriminating material that they can use for videos relating to Queen Bee. Such an action reveals a person who seeks to encourage drama, may have no integrity, and encourages and appreciates potentially sneaky behavior. Someone who
So iTow is encouraging drama, but no one else is.
believes that the end justifies the means, the solicitation of material from strangers. Also says something about why ITO has devoted an entire channel to make claims against Queen Bee, to seek personal revenge, and it also hints at a vindictive motivation.
Personal revenge, vindictive. What did I just say? Vengeance, revenge, like personal problems with Queen. Maybe IToW is somebody that doesn't have personal problems with Queen and doesn't want people to know who they are in case people go that direction. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Type of personality would usually be affiliated with someone who is lonely, with a history of failed interpersonal relationships. ITOW's inability to manage their personal feelings about Queen Bee on their own, without resorting to creating a channel, indicates instability as well as immaturity, and lack of the ability to effectively resolve conflict. It also underscores the likelihood that ITO is not merely trying to spread awareness about a perceived social wrong, but to selfishly manipulate viewers to validate ITO's own personal unresolved feelings with Queen.
I don't think that's it. I think, from what I've gathered from iTow's videos, is they're tired of Queen going around calling everybody else out when she's got her own shit storm brewing all the time. You know, I think that's what I picked up from what they were putting down. I don't think it's anything personal for them. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Queen Bee. Finally, the limited focus of iTow's content and repetition in each video of the same theme and word choice displays a pattern suggestive of character traits that are affiliated with pessimism, neuroticism, and opportunism. Such a person may be someone who sees the glass half full, sees themselves as a victim who can't get a break in life, and is looking to crowdsource others with the same glum outlook to join in. iTow's own misery that is targeted at Queen Bee, getting others on what ETOW likely sees as their side, may energize iTow and make them feel a respect that is missing from their real-life, everyday encounters. That all strongly connotes that ETU has unhealthy coping mechanisms, and while they are proficient in video design, editing, and production, they may have burnt out in their real-life pursuits due to unaddressed issues. This is just a limited overview of ITOW's online persona, and it is just an opinion that lacks other components, like background assessment and personal real-life behavioral observations. My opinion is only that of an observer looking into the true crime fishbowl and studying creators' online personas. We all know that a creator's YouTube persona is just that. It is who the creator wants you to see. It is how the creator wants you to see them. When the creator turns off their show, we have no idea who the actual human being is in real life. With that said, Perhaps if ITOQ decides to reveal themselves one day, we will all see that my opinion is incorrect. With so many true crime creators among us, what persona do you want to see analyzed? Be sure to type that in the comment box.
I do think that if they are ever exposed, or if they decide to expose themselves, I think that we will see that this video and the characteristics of what they're saying about this person may be a little off. You going to work? I'm about to leave too. Hold on, Mom's calling. Hello. Hi. No, I stretched. Yeah, I'll just give her one. All right, I'm gonna wrap up this live and then I'll be down there. Yeah, I've been live. All right, I'll be down there in just a minute. All right. Go vacation. I gotta take her to pick up her rental car. But you have an education, bro. I'm just saying, like, I think I can get like the way they put these videos together. Sometimes it is word salad. Like that one confused me a little more than the other ones. I don't know why, but it just felt a little more, I don't know, like throwing too many things at it, maybe. I don't know. But I do like the way they edit their videos. I really do. So I can appreciate that. Baby, bring the tray. The tray. And they said they're coming out with a part 2. Yeah, no. Aunt Terry needs a. They said they're gonna come out with a part 2 on Dolly, and it looks like that they've been putting, let's see, a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 day, 12 hours. Okay, so it looks like they're starting to get a little more active. Well, let me just subscribe to you and cut your notifications on. Gang, gang. Here is the channel. I know Steph's been posting it. I'm going to post it again here in case people want to keep up with it. I find it, I mean, it's kind of interesting. On the, I think on the table or the TV stand. Ooh, that would be so cool. Like, how would ITEL respond to that, though? Like, this person's trying to dive into the psyche. ITEL's going to dive into the psyche of the psyche diver? Oh, that's confusing. Look on the big table. The island. That would be a lot. All right, guys. Thank y'all for coming and hanging out with me today. I appreciate it, and I love you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your Friday. Deets will be going live tonight, I think, so keep an eye out. All right, guys. I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.